The agony of a simple party, an overthinker's story. The party doesn't start for another 3 hours. But in my head, I've already had 14 conversations, offended 3 people, and spilled a drink on the host. If you've ever mentally rehearsed every possible social interaction before an event, then you know the agony of being an overthinker. It all starts with a simple notification, a text, a calendar invite. You are invited. For most people, that is a spark of excitement. For us, it's the starting pistol for a mental marathon we never even signed up for. The event might be a week away, but the anxiety is here now, like a guest that showed up way too early and has no plans to leave. It is this constant low hum of dread that messes with your sleep and turns the simplest decisions into massive projects. This isn't just about being a little nervous. It's a full-on cognitive war where you are both the soldier and the battlefield. And tonight, the battle is a simple party. If this sounds familiar, if you've ever felt exhausted by a social event before, you've even put your shoes on, then you need to hear this. You are not the only one in this fight. The pre-party breakdown. The week leading up to a party is its own special kind of hell. My friend, let's call her Sarah, sees a party. I see a performance review for my entire personality. And so, the preparation begins. I am not talking about picking out a gift for the host. I'm talking about the obsessive, draining process of planning my own existence. First up, the wardrobe. This isn't about fashion. It is about social camouflage. What outfit says, I am friendly but not desperate for attention? What shirt won't show sweat stains if the anxiety really kicks in? This decision alone can take days. I'll cycle through a dozen options until I land back on the first thing I chose, only now it comes with a side of emotional baggage. Then comes the real work, mapping out my behavior. And yes, I will literally stand in front of a mirror and practice how I'm going to stand. I'll decide when to smile and figure out what to do with my hands so I don't look awkward. I run through conversational scripts for every scenario I can imagine. What do I say to the host? What if I get stuck with someone I don't know? I need at least 3 interesting, but not stupid controversial, topics ready to go. I need an entry line, and more importantly, an exit line for every single conversation. It's like I am prepping for an improv show where I'm the only one who knows it is a show. Underneath all this planning is this deep-seated belief that I have to be perfect to be accepted. It's this impossible standard that I must never make anyone uncomfortable, never say the wrong thing, and never, ever be seen as weird. Any tiny social misstep feels like it could lead to complete social ruin. So I plan and I rehearse, trying to build a version of myself that is socially indestructible. But honestly, all I'm really building is a fortress of anxiety. By the time the day of the party finally arrives, my stomach is in knots from a week's worth of worry, and I'm already wiped out. The agony has truly begun way before the party has. The mental battlefield arriving at the party is like stepping through a portal. On one side, you have the quiet calm of your car. On the other, a wall of noise, people, and 1,000 potential social landmines. The first wave of panic is physical. My heart starts hammering. My palms get slick. My brain, which was just my over-caffeinated personal assistant a minute ago, has suddenly become a high-alert security system. Trying to be present in a conversation feels almost impossible. It is like having 2 conversations at once, one with the person in front of you, and one with the hypercritical voice in your head. While someone's telling me about their vacation, my internal monologue is just screaming, "Are you making enough eye contact? Wait, is that too much? They think you are staring. Okay, nod now. Was that a weird nod? Your posture is all wrong. Just act normal." It is completely draining. This chaos is driven by a few key psychological glitches. The first is mind reading. I just assume with zero evidence that I know exactly what negative things people are thinking about me. That tiny pause in the conversation. They must think I'm boring. That person who just glanced over my shoulder. They're obviously looking for someone more interesting to talk to. Then there is emotional reasoning, which is when you believe that if you feel a certain way, it must be true. If I feel anxious and awkward, then I must when by anxious and awkward, and everyone can definitely see it. It doesn't matter if I just had a perfectly pleasant chat. I'll walk away feeling like I failed. I'll analyze every micro-expression, every tiny hesitation, convinced my words came out clumsy or strange. All of this happens under what psychologists call the spotlight effect. The belief that a giant spotlight is constantly on us, highlighting every single flaw. In reality, we're usually just background characters in other people's lives. They're not obsessing over the slightly weird joke you told. They're worried about the wine they just spilled or the joke fail. They're wry about to tell. But in the heat of the moment, that rational thought is nowhere to be found. I am just trapped on a stage of my own making, convinced the whole audience is watching, just waiting for me to fail. The aftermath, leaving the party, usually brings this fleeting sense of relief. I survived, I made it out. But that relief is short-lived because the main event is about to begin. The post-party rumination. My brain, now free from the job of real-time social navigating, goes into overdrive, replaying every single interaction on a loop. And this isn't a gentle review. It's a forensic investigation where I am the only suspect, and the crime is my own social awkwardness. Why did I say that? It sounded so stupid. I talked way too much about my job. They were definitely bored. Was that joke I made offensive? What if they think I'm a weird person now? I'll fixate on tiny, meaningless moments and blow them up into social disasters, while completely ignoring any good parts of the night. Someone laughed at my story. My brain just dismisses it. I had a genuinely nice conversation with someone new. Doesn't count. But that one moment where I stumbled over a word, that gets replayed in high definition for hours, sometimes for days. This is the work of cognitive distortions, basically systematic errors in thinking that fuel anxiety. There's catastrophizing, where one awkward comment gets blown up to mean I've failed socially and now everyone hates me. And then you have the should statements. I should have been funnier. I shouldn't have brought that up. These are the ghosts that haunt me long after the party's over. And here is the kicker. Psychologists have found something called the liking gap, which shows that after an interaction, people consistently like us more than we think they do. But my overthinking brain would never let me believe that. It's too busy running on its mental treadmill, going absolutely nowhere. The vicious cycle and the way out. This whole process creates a vicious, self-fulfilling cycle. You go to a party, judge yourself harshly, obsess over that judgment, and conclude that you are just socially awkward. This just pumps more anxiety into your system, which you carry into the next social event, making it even more likely you'll feel anxious and repeat the whole thing again. Eventually, the easiest solution feels like just avoiding it all. You start turning down invitations, dodging conversations, and hiding away. But this is a trap. Avoidance starves you of the very positive interactions that could prove your fears wrong. It weakens your relationships and, ironically, makes the fear of future events even stronger. So how do we break free? The answer isn't to just stop thinking so much. It is about learning new ways to relate to your thoughts. Think of it like a Chinese finger trap. The more you pull and fight against it, the tighter it grips you. Anxiety is the same way. The more you struggle against anxious thoughts, the stronger their hold becomes. The way out isn't to fight, but to lean in and give yourself some space. Here are a few practical ways to do that. Tip 1. Shift from an internal to an external focus. When you are in a conversation, your goal is no longer to monitor your own performance. Your new goal is simply to be curious about the other person. Make it your mission to learn something interesting about them. Ask questions. Actually listen to their answers. When you focus your attention outward, you rob that internal critic of its power. You can't be in two places at once. Choose to be in the conversation, not in your head. Tip 2. Be a scientist, not a mind reader. Your negative thoughts are not facts, they're just hypotheses. And what does a good scientist do? They test their hypotheses. Instead of just assuming everyone thinks I am awkward, look for actual evidence. Did they smile? Did they ask you a follow-up question? Did they stick around? You'll often find the evidence doesn't actually support your anxious conclusion. Start challenging your thoughts instead of just accepting them. Tip 3. Run behavioral experiments. This is a really powerful technique. Intentionally test your fears in small, manageable ways. For example, if you are terrified of awkward silences, just try letting a silence hang for a few seconds in a low-stakes conversation. See what really happens. Most of the time, the catastrophic disaster you are picturing never happens. These small experiments literally retrain your brain, proving that you can handle these situations. Tip 4. Schedule worry time. Rumination is a powerful habit. Instead of letting it ruin your life for days after a party, schedule an appointment with it. Give yourself 15 minutes to obsessively overthink everything. Set a timer. When it goes off, you make a conscious choice to move on to something else. This contains the anxiety instead of letting it bleed into every part of your life. Tip 5. Practice radical self-compassion. After a party, talk to yourself the way you would talk to a friend who was feeling insecure. You wouldn't call them a failure, you'd be kind. Instead of "I am so weird," try, "That was an awkward moment, but everyone has them. I am human." The goal isn't perfection, it is connection, and you are worthy of connection even if you aren't perfectly smooth in every single conversation. Conclusion. The agony of a simple party is real. It is a cycle of anxiety, self-scrutiny, and rumination that can make social life feel like a minefield. It's fueled by an impossible standard of perfection and a deep fear of being judged. But it is a pattern, and patterns can be broken. The goal isn't to get rid of anxiety forever or to never have another negative thought. The goal is to stop that thought from hijacking the entire experience. It is about learning to let the thought be there without letting it be in charge. The agony of a simple party doesn't have to be your story. You have the power to put down the script and just start improvising. If this story resonated with you, I'd love for you to share your biggest overthinking trigger in the comments below. Reading through them is such a powerful reminder that none of us are alone in this. And if you want to keep exploring ways to break these cycles and get your peace of mind back, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching.